I'm Chef Rick with Eaton Marketing. Today in the kitchen, we're going to talk about the I-Series ovens with TurboChef. We're going to focus most of our attention today is going to be on the newest TurboChef oven. It's going to be called it is called the El Bandito. So what it really boils down to, it is an i1, or it's based on a SATA platform, and it also has a built-in panini press to it. So you can raise it up, raise it down, you can cook on top of it, or directly on the panini itself. So that's kind of the smaller version. And then a larger version, if you're going to be talking about the I-Series oven, is an i3, and it goes to an i5. So if you're talking about larger batch cooking, you're going to get away from kind of doing the press sandwiches. You want to maybe start getting into multiple chicken breasts without skin on. You want to get into baked potatoes, larger pre-cooked hamburgers, wings, items like that you need a larger platform or for prep in the morning. You're going to want to look at probably an i3 or an i5. Same technology base, so built-in catalytic converters to them. Totally ventless. You do not need to have them under a hood. 208, 240. They also have the impingers, so you can control the bottom air as well as the top air independently. So I can have my bottom air going at, so let's say, 80% speed. I can have my top air going at 40% speed based on the necessity of what product you're cooking. You want to do, they go anywhere from 350 degrees all the way up to 540 degrees. So yesterday we had some in the test kitchen. We were working off the El Bandito, and we were doing Cuban sandwiches. So we did the Cuban sandwiches, got them right when the customer wanted them. And then they asked me, hey, can we do pastries in here? And pastries are always a little bit difficult because you're working with microwave, you're working with hot air, and you're working with impingement, so you're working with air circulating around. And lo and behold, what we decided to do was we knocked the oven down to 350 degrees, we set up an entire new setting, and we were pushing out pastries in about 3 minutes, and that was from a raw standpoint. So we were going to do Cuban sandwiches, we were knocking Cuban sandwiches out in a minute and 50 seconds, and then we were knocking out our pastries if we needed to. Like I said, we just dropped the oven down. If you're going to do pastries in the morning, you're going to start, you want to get your prep done, and this is kind of the only apparatus you have that you want to do that with. What I suggest to do is set the oven at 350 degrees, get your settings, all set up with that through your edit mode. Cook all your pastries, and then go to your 500, 525 degree setting, and then that's when you're going to cook all your sandwiches and all your entree items in that particular oven. Just remember though, even though it has a built-in catalytic converter system to it, you want to stay away from raw fatty proteins at all times when you're working with TurboChef. You can do raw chicken breasts if you want to, absolutely, but I would recommend that you maybe have the skin off them. Fillets work fine in there, maybe not ribeyes so much though because of the fat content. But anything like that, pre-cooked bacon absolutely works perfectly fine in the oven. But raw bacon's not so much. It's going to bog down that catalytic converter after a while, and it's just going to beat the oven up. Remember that TurboChef comes with a 1-year parts and labor warranty. So again, smaller version. This is without the press on it. This is going to be the SATA. This is what previously Starbucks has right now. You go up into the i3 unit, larger batch cooking, and then you go up to i5. So i3 will take a half sheet tray. If you go to an i5, you can put a full hotel pan in there. So if you want to start heating up, rice, risotto, stuff like that, you want to warm them up slowly, you can absolutely do it in there. Potatoes, larger items. So we're going to focus in on the Bandito today. So the Bandito, obviously, it was built so you could have a press sandwiches. You don't necessarily have to use the press though. I can cook directly in here. I can cook on one of my little plates right here. So either a perforated one or a flat black one. Set my items on here. I can set it directly in the oven. Close the door. Hit my button. I've left the unit in edit mode today, so if we need to tweak it a little bit, we can. But for the most part, all you're going to do is you're going to hit your item, my sandwich, which is my group, and then I'm going to go in and find my sandwich that I want, which is going to be Cuban today. And then press the button when your sandwich is in it, let it rock and roll. But always remember, the TurboChef's always on, so it's going to continue to have that 525 degree heat or whatever set temperature you have. So when your timer goes off for the item to be done, the item will continue to cook in there. The fan won't be going as much as maybe your program is set for. However, the item will still cook. So if you're on that verge of having a perfect item, but you leave it in there a little too long after the timer goes off, it's going to continue to cook and your item's probably going to overcook. So today, obviously, with the Bandito, we're going to cook a couple sandwiches today. So we're in Tampa, we're going to do a Cuban, pulled meat, so it's pulled pork. It is regular, just straight up boiled ham. Swiss cheese, we got butter pickles that are gonna go on there, and we got just our regular yellow mustard. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do an heirloom tomato and mozzarella sandwich with a little bit of pesto. We're gonna press that as well. And then we're gonna do something that I learned how to do kind of right as I started cooking, or kind of really when I figured out what food was all about. It is a classic flatbread done in the style of a pizza. It's made out of Nice, France. It was created in Nice, France. And I always get this just a little bit wrong, so I apologize. So it's pizza dorita. So what it really forms, I know it's a little bit funky name, I just want to make sure I get it right. But what it is really, it's a caramelized onions on top of a dough made out of bread flour. It's caramelized onions, anchovies, and then black olives. Can you substitute any olives you want? Absolutely sure can. If you want niche olives, if you want Jerry Ganolas, if you want like a younger olive Castelvetrano, any of them will do. It's total preference, but this one always makes me happy because it brings me back to the days I started cooking. So without further ado, we're gonna get started here. So we're gonna take our Cuban bread. We've cut it all the way through. We're gonna start stacking this bad boy. So we're gonna put our ham down on the bottom. If you're doing this, we've done some testing on this with some end users right now, and we're figuring Cuban sandwiches are large and in charge, so they are typically a pound of meat. This one might not be a pound of meat today, but that's typically what they come out to.
It's gonna be 2 pounds.
It's gonna be 2 pounds. We're going big, double decker this bad boy. So yeah, so we did some pulled pork, shred it up, put a little onions in there to kind of make it almost like a mojo style. Put that down. I'm gonna put our cheese down. Actually, you know what we're gonna do first? We're gonna put a little mustard on this bad boy. You can do a Dijon if you want to. So if you're doing a, what's the other one? If you're doing a particular type of other Cuban sandwich, which has the almost like a yellow bread, it's almost like a brioche. You can use like a mustard and mayonnaise base for that if you want to. But for a Cuban sandwich, you're just gonna use regular yellow mustard. Medianoche, that's the name of the sandwich that has almost like a brioche bun. Super sugary, caramelizes really quick. If you're doing those in this oven, you're gonna look at like 1 minute and 15 seconds. Cubans are gonna take us anywhere between 1 minute and 30 and 1 minute and 50, depending on the size of the sandwich. So I've got my cheese, got my pork. I'm gonna put my pickles on here. I'm a big fan of bread and butter pickles. They're rich, take out a lot of flavor. I'm gonna take that, stack that house together. All right, so at this point, we can do 2 things. I can leave it directly like this, put it in there, pull it down, let it rock and roll. Or some people are doing right now, they're wrapping them and they're taking the parchment paper and they're wrapping them up in parchment paper. If you wrap it in parchment paper, the likelihood of the oven getting dirty so much or getting a lot of debris on it, it's gonna be kind of nil to none. I'm cool with it getting dirty. I'm gonna clean it. So I'm gonna put it directly on the plate itself. Then when it's done, we're gonna take it out. So let's take it in here, put the sandwich, put it directly in the oven. All right, as you can see, you can hear it searing if you get up close. Close my door. I'm gonna go back to, the sandwich is already, it's in there 525 degrees, so it's already cooking. I'm gonna do my Cuban. And I've got an edit mode, so I'm making a little adjustments as I go. I'm gonna let it rock and roll. So I'll give it like a 2 second delay. Oven's starting to cook. I want my bread nice and crisp, so I take it to about 80 to 100% air on top, and I take it to about 100% air on the bottom. That plate on the bottom is totally, it's got no air holes, it's got no way to vent the air, so I need as much air possible on the bottom of that so I can compensate a little bit and I can get the char I need on it. On top of it, the plate is perforated all the way through. The reason is because of the microwave that's in the oven. You want to make sure that the microwave and the air doesn't get any blockage, so you get a little bit more air penetrating on the top of the sandwich. This oven right now, you can order in a variety of colors, just like anything else. So if you got a special color you need, absolutely. You can try to spec that out, but powder cook it for you. If you order this as a Sada, basic I1 oven, you order it as a Sada, standard color is going to be black on it. They also have what's called a panini version. Panini, all that really is it has a panini plate on the bottom. It does not have a press on it. It just has a standard panini plate on the bottom. So you're going to get those groove marks on the base of it, but you're not going to get anything on top. So if you order the sada as a whole, it just has a perforated rack on the bottom, direct airflow from the top, direct airflow from the bottom. You order it, the I1 as a panini. It has a panini plate on the bottom, so it blocks just a little bit of your air. You still get it from the top. Or you order this bad mama jammer right here. You get the Bandito, you get the press, you get weird, it's all good. Alright, time is off. Yeah, that's sucker.
That looks yummy.
Right. So, timer went off, sandwich came out. Nice and toasted on top, toasted on the bottom. You see the cheese melting coming out the sides. Typical sandwich for at least the Cubans that we've been kind of testing right now. I've been kind of throughout the state testing with some individuals, and their average temperature for the Cubans is between 90 and about 90 to 110, maybe 115. They don't want them scorching hot. They don't want the individuals to burn their mouths. So we're doing them, like I said yesterday, we were kind of keeping them at that 110, 112 standpoint. That's why set is on here at 525 degrees for 1 minute and 30 seconds. So now we're going to go on to our tomato mozzarella sandwich. So tomato mozzarella, we got some nice heirloom tomatoes and just a fresh log of mozzarella, sliced it down, and we're going to put pesto on it. It's a super simple sandwich, but with summer coming up right now, it's kind of ideal. I get a big kick out of tomatoes. I remember when I was working in Charleston for quite a few years, we had the farmer right down the street, and we would get fresh heirloom tomatoes on a daily basis from these guys, little Ambrose farm action. And they were awesome. Super fresh, right out of the sun. They were sweating a little bit, got sugars were coming out. Oh my God, they were no joke. So we're gonna drop our mozzarella in there. And like a sandwich like this, I'm not worried about melting the cheese so much. I just want it to get a little bit more soft, take a little bit of the chill off it. The tomatoes, if you want to get down to business, you're in the South a little bit, take your pesto, mix it with a little Duke's mayonnaise, sammy action, you're good to go. So we're gonna take some of these heirlooms, and all these, we should put a couple of these on there. I'm really not gonna put any salt on these tomatoes. They've got a lot of flavor on their own. I put, and the pesto's got a little bit of salt, so we'll season up at the end if we need to. That, and then for safety's sake, we're just gonna put a little bit more pesto right on top. Yeah, I overload this bad boy. So as you guys know, pesto, simple, super simple. It's got, the one I make, it's got basil in it, it's got toasted pine nuts, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, salt, black pepper, and olive oil. That's it. All right, so now, I've got the oven pre-programmed. So when you come in, we'll set it up. We can always set it up with you guys when you guys purchase an oven. But we've already pre-programmed the oven. So I've got a bunch of sandwiches already on there. I got my tomato mozz sandwich on there right now. I'm gonna click on my tomato mozz. I've got it set up for about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So I did my Cuban about the same time, but my Cuban I had a little bit more microwave on. I'm gonna decrease the microwave a little bit on this one. I'm gonna hit cook. So a couple things to remember. When you're cooking sandwiches, microwave can be your friend, it can also be your worst enemy when it comes to it. The microwave will react to the sugars in your bread sometimes. So if you have too much microwave going on and you're making your sandwich, you're like, it's not getting hot enough inside, maybe instead of adding more microwave, just spend your time on it a little bit. Just, if it's 130, you're not getting hot enough, maybe extend it out to 150. There's a couple seconds going to make a real big difference when you're in an oven cavity set at 525 degrees and you're rocking and rolling in that small cavity, you've got air circulating around, because the bread itself reacts to the microwave. The sugars will make the bread real tight, so when it comes out, it'll seem, hey, we're A-okay, and then a minute later after you let it set, the bread's pretty much hard as a rock. So I try to keep the microwave no greater than 50 to 60%, that's even pushing a little bit. I like that 40% mark for breads when I'm doing sandwiches. If you don't have the El Bandito and you have a panini, another option to do instead of doing a closed sandwich like we're doing now, open it up a little bit. So maybe have your cheese, take a piece of bread for example, maybe put your meats on one side, your cheese on the other, open it up, put it in the oven just like that on your panini plate, if you do have a panini oven, and let it get the marks that way. Your sandwich will cook internally, it'll cook just fine. It'll cook actually a little bit quicker. Raise your temperature oven up a little bit, and you're gonna get a nice caramelization on that bread. And then we won't have to try to kill the bread with a lot of microwave because your sandwich ingredients will get warmed up. All right. Open. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Very good. Cool. So, we got a little caramelization on the side. You can see the mozzarella's a little bit soft. I can feel it. I don't want it too hot. It's a summer sandwich. You don't want it scorching hot. You want just that mozzarella just to melt just a little bit. You want to do burrata in there. Burrata's got a little more moisture content, so just be careful. I'm a big fan of burrata, but it's got a heavy water content to it, so just be very, very careful when you're using burrata. You could use a little perlini mozzarella, sliced mozzarella. It's totally up to you. Want to use Gouda? Whatever. Get it creative as you want. Just a standard salad, standard sandwich for the summertime when you get some fresh tomatoes in. So now, I'm gonna do a weird flatbread pizza that kind of rings true to home with me. It brings up a lot of good memories about being in the kitchen and getting beat down, I should say. I got beat down a lot, but I think that it made me to who I am right now in the kitchen. But this thing brings back a lot of great memories working with some really cool people years ago. So typically it's made with bread dough. If you want to do it on puff pastries, you'll see this. You can make it on puff pastry dough if you want to. You'll see this in France. You'll see it in little patissiers. You go up there, grab a slice, walk around, just eat it as a snack. They pre-make them and then you just have them sitting out where they just cut them off the board and you serve them to you. So we've just got a standard flatbread here. I got caramelized onions. You throw those down. I'm a big fan of Carolina onions. There is a sweet Carolina onion that they make. It's called a palmetto onion that is super. If you're ever in South Carolina and you get your hands on it, it definitely rivals the Vidalia onion out there. So if you ever like I said, rolling through South Carolina and you see them, grab them. So now we're gonna kind of put our anchovies on there. If you're not a fan of anchovies, become a fan. They are just super flavorful. Yes, they do have a little bit of salt in them if you get the wrong ones. Sometimes they can be very sweet as well if you get them straight out of the sea. Like you get some Spanish anchovies, they can be extremely flavorful. I think in Italy they take them and they deep fry them for like Frito misto and stuff like that, which is just, it's awesome. That fried anchovies will squeeze a lemon on top and you can't go wrong. All right, so now we've laid that out. I've got Kalamata olives today, so again, whatever your flavor profile is, this is just a base. Get as creative as you want to with the dough. So now, that's it. It's just 3 simple ingredients. No frills, no chills. It's just super, super simple. But now we don't want to press this sandwich. We don't want to press this because we're not doing a sandwich. All right. So we're gonna go back into our groups. I've got a flatbread setting on there, so I've already got a flatbread group set up. All right. On here, I labeled it right there. So quesadilla. All right, it comes up. I've got about 60% air on top. I've got 100% air on bottom. I want to get it nice and crisp. I've got about 10% microwave, just a little bit to warm it up because I'm going to use the heat of the oven at 525 degrees to kind of cook and to help heat that item up. So since we're not doing a press sandwich, I can do 2 things. I can either put it directly on my rack, or I can put it on a tray if I want to. Tray's a little bit easier, so we're going to put it on a tray today. I don't really need as much, marks or grill marks or anything on the bottom, so I'm just going to put it on this. Open our oven door. Not going to put our press down, so I'm going to put it directly in the oven like this. It cooks. Again, if you're doing pastries in the morning, use a flat mat. That's what we were using yesterday. These mats are almost very similar to a sill pad. They take that high heat very, very well, and all you do is wipe them off, take them to the dish pit, hose them off. For cleaning purposes, the El Bandito, all you really have to do with the El Bandito is wipe your tray out in the inside on a regular basis. That's all you have to do to keep this oven clean. You're not doing heavily grease-laden items in this oven. Particularly, traditionally it was built for use press sandwiches. Obviously, you can cook a multitude of items in there. But all you gotta do is take a cloth in there and wipe it out, wipe the inside out. Since that perforated rack on the top, so the press on the top has the perforated slots in it, I'm getting that air down directly on the product. If you're in a SATA, the difference in kind of air velocity, if I'm in a SATA and I'm using, let's say, 60% air coming from the top of it, if I'm doing a flatbread or I'm doing a small 10-inch pizza, I'm probably going to go to, if I want to get almost identical to that, I'm going to increase my air on my Bandito to probably, maybe 70 to 80. I'm going to go up by almost 20% just to compensate for those slats being in there. So now I'm going to use my paddle that comes with the oven because I'm going to take that tray out. So I just slide it in, take it out. Now, so now you start to see your anchovies getting cooked a little bit. Okay, so some crispy on the bottom. So your anchovies, you start to see them shrivel up just a little bit. They get a little caramelization on there. Your olives, because you have a little bit more salt in your anchovies, if you're doing an olive, you should probably rinse the brine off just a little bit. If not, you have a little bit too much salt content. But then it kind of sweetens itself out with a little bit of the caramelized onions. And I'm going to grab Alright, cool. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of olive oil. Just put a little olive oil on top. I mean, this is, like I said, this is just super classic. Today is all about simple, classic food items that you'll, that you might see. We'll take a little bit of fresh thyme. Just throw it right over top. That's it. So now, we've got Cuban sandwich. If you're in Tampa, by the way, Tampa makes it slightly different. They use some of the same ingredients. The only difference is with being in Tampa, they add salami to it. I didn't put salami in this one, but I just kind of want to make a traditional Cuban that you might find in Miami. So they put salami on there. We've got our heirloom tomato and mozzarella salad. And then we've got our traditional, super classic flatbread pizza from France. Now that, we've pretty much overloaded ourselves with carbs, it's lunchtime, we're gonna go check out one more item that we have in store for us today. You're feeling a little drowsy after lunch, you need to pick me up. This is it right here. We have this always set up in our office at all times. It's a U-line nitrogen-based coffee system. So very similar to what you see at Starbucks, nitrogen coffee. So you're taking your cold brew, which we make in-house. We grind up our coffee. We use a local coffee roaster here called Buddy Brew. I take the grounds, like I said, I grind all the whole bean up, let it sit in water overnight. I take it and I strain it off through a cheesecloth the next day. All right, so I've got water and beans, that's it. But if you extract the caffeine out of the beans slowly, you get a heavier or more caffeinated punch in your coffee. So this one is a rip on a cafe, like a Cuban style coffee. So we did our cold brew and I infused it with a brown sugar, like a turbinado sugar, simple syrup. So you're gonna get that like definite pick me up when you're in Miami. You get the little, shot glasses. And you're like, I don't think that's gonna be enough. And it sets you off and you start spinning circles in your head. Yeah, this is what this will do. Trying to kick it on. Much or as little as you want. I mean, it's probably 10 times more than I actually need. So fill it up as little as you want, and you start seeing the nitrogen is what kind of gives it that milky kind of froth to it. You start seeing it settle down. It's almost just like a Guinness beer. It's very, very similar to a Guinness beer. So you start seeing it settle, and then I just get weird. Holy! Thanks so much for joining us today. It's Rick with Eating Marketing in the Kitchen today. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out, and have a great day.